lesson, we're going to talk about probability. So what is probability? For example, perhaps you've seen something like this, P of A. What does that mean? This is the probability of event A occurring. To calculate the probability of an event occurring, it's equal to the number of favorable outcomes, or outcomes that lead to event A occurring, divided by the total possible number of outcomes. Now, before we go over some examples that talk about how to calculate probability, we need to talk about something called sample space. So what is sample space? The sample space is basically the set of all possible outcomes that can occur. So let's say if we toss a fair coin, let's say a quarter. What are the possible outcomes of flipping one coin? There's only two possibilities. You can either get a heads or you can get a tails. So the sample space for this situation is either heads or tails. Now, what if we wanted to flip, let's say, two coins? What are the possible outcomes? What's the sample space for flipping two coins? To help us get the answer, we're going to create something known as a tree diagram. So when flipping the first coin, we have two possibilities, heads or tails. Now, let's say if we get heads during the first flip. During the second flip, we can get another two possibilities, heads or tails. Likewise, if we get a tails during the first flip, on the second flip, we can also get heads or tails. So notice that we have four possible outcomes. So the sample space is going to be the first outcome, which is heads and then heads. So we can write that as HH. The second outcome is heads and then tails. So that's going to be HT. The third outcome is tails, then heads. And the fourth outcome is going to be tails and then tails. So this would be the sample space of flipping two coins. Now, for the sake of practice, what is the sample space of flipping three coins? Feel free to pause the video and try that. Construct the tree diagram to help you do so. So on the first try, we can get heads or tails. Now, if we get heads, it can be heads or tails. And if we get tails, it can also be heads or tails. Now, because we're flipping three coins, we need to do this one more time. So this could be H or T, and then repeat the process for each one. So here's the first possibility. We can get three heads. So I'm going to write that as HHH. The second possibility is getting heads, heads, and then tails. So HHT. The third possibility is heads, tails, heads. So that's HTH. The fourth is heads, tails, tails. So HTT. And then repeating this process, we see that the next one is going to be THH. And then THT, TTH, and the last one is going to be TTT. So we're flipping two coins three times. So the number of possible outcomes is 2 raised to the third power, which is 2 times 2 times 2, and so it gives us 8 possible outcomes. So this is the sample space, which represents all the possible outcomes that we can get for flipping three coins.